Chesapeake in Ohio 1601 was built by Lima Locomotive Works in Lima, Ohio in 1941 and is the 7821st steam locomotive built by that factory and is a 2666 Allegheny type steam locomotive and is an H8 class steam locomotive. This locomotive worked its life on the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad, and also it was one of the first 10 Alleghenies built and numbered from 1600 to 1609, and it is one of the first 60 built Allegheny locomotives. The locomotive was designed to work over the Allegheny Mountains on Chesapeake and Ohio's Clifton Forge Division, and that's how these locomotives got the name Allegheny. These locomotives usually doubled on the most challenging part of the grade, on one at the front and one at the back, typically pulling 100 car coal trains eastbound from Hinton, West Virginia to the top of the grade at Allegheny. Then it was retired like in 1956 and was donated to the Edison Institution, and also it was brought to the museum on the rear of a Chesapeake and Ohio freight train, and it took 3 attempts to get the locomotive into the museum since it's the largest piece in the collection. First attempt, it derailed on the railroad tracks behind the museum. After removing its main and side rods, it was time for a second attempt. The locomotive made it as far as the museum's railroad doors, but was unable to pass through, even though the door had been widened to accommodate it. The problem was the switch inside the building. As the locomotive started to pass over the switch, its articulation caused the cab to swing over much further than anticipated. On the third attempt, following temporary modifications and component removals, the locomotive finally passed through the door, and it took its place in the museum and sat in its final resting spot. Today, it is part of the collection of the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, and also it can be seen on display in the train display hall as well. Also, Chesapeake in Ohio 1601 is one of 2 surviving 2666 Allegheny type steam locomotives left in the world today, and 1604 is the other one and is on display at the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum in Baltimore, Maryland, and 1601 can be found here at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, and also you can even visit the locomotive's cab and even sit where the engineer and fireman used to sit as well.